All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahashim, Rachah Kodash. I want to give up honors to my apostles and elders, great millstone, who teach very well. Wanted this truth from and salutation out there to the hopeful elect who continue to push this word in our truth, faith, and sincerity. And on today, just basically getting on suffering, for Yahushai's sakes, for rulership's sakes, man. Because Yahushai, once you go back into the time when he on the planet Earth, when he was Yahushai, he was on a certain mission. He's going to tell you right here. I'm going to start off with St. Mark 8, and I'm going to start at verse 31. It says, and he began to teach them that the Son of Man must suffer many things. So he was teaching the disciples that he was going to go through hell. He wasn't teaching a world-friendly doctrine, because suffering is an uncomfortable situation, but also suffering leads to growth. Let's read this again. It says, and he began to teach them that the Son of Man must suffer many things and be rejected of elders and of chief priests and scribes and be killed, and after 3 days rise again. So Yahushua knew upon the planet Earth what his mission was. And his mission wasn't going to be a cakewalk. He was going to be hated. People was going to lie on him, falsely accused. But all this was actually for rulership's sakes, because after he got upon that cross and he rose on that third day, it tells us in Hebrews, the 12th chapter, how he sat down on the right hand of the Most High. After his mission was completed. Let's go ahead and get that, because at the end of the day, we must be in the same mindset. Because right here, let's get this in the book of St. John 15. And I'm going to jump down to verse 20. It says, remember the word that I said unto you, the servant is not greater than his Lord. So how the Son of Man, Yahushua, had to suffer many things, we're going to have to suffer many things here upon the planet Earth today. Because again, the light's still on, you can still flush your water, the internet's still on, but times is going to get worse, man. And worse as we get closer unto the end. Continuing on, the servant is not greater than his Lord. If they have persecuted me, they will also persecute you. And that's it. So if they wanted to kill Yahushua, throw dirt on his name, lie on him, cast him into prison, all these things, we must be ready for that same mindset. It's like we hopped in the car with Yahushua, man. And he's hot. Everybody looking for him. So you associate yourself with him, you're going to get that same type of heat. But that heat is actually going to lead into rulership. Let's go ahead and continue on. If they have kept my sayings, they will also keep yours. So basically, if they will listen into the scriptures, listen to Moses and the prophets back then, they're going to listen to Moses and the prophets now, because it was already predestinated for this word to be planted in us and grow. It wasn't casted by the wayside. It wasn't choked with the thorns of the world. No, man. It actually flourished because why? It landed upon that good ground. And that good ground will be able to endure the terrain, for the lack of better words. That house is actually built upon that rock. So when that hell does come, it's going to be able to stand. Because at the end of the day, Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai have set up us upon the planet Earth today to fight. Let's go ahead and get that real quick. Because again, a lot of people think that the king, the 7-year tribulation, like you're going to walk into the kingdom of heaven, or basically everything going to have to be prosperous. Even the Apostle Paul said, I know how to abound in the base. And being in that mindset is actually being in the mindset of endurance, adjusting, survival. All these things, it's a part of the fight that we in. Let's get this real quick. This is the book of 2nd Ezra 7 and verse 57. Then answered he me and said, this is the condition of the battle, which man is born upon the earth shall fight. Yes, that man that is born upon the earth shall fight. And again, even though we fight against the world, but even in the scripture, we fight against principalities and everything. A demon will hop on somebody else that try to aggravate you, and you have to use wisdom to get yourself out that situation, man. You know, and it's a beautiful thing, even the hell that we catch, man. Because even though you might be suffering, you might be mad now, you look back years later, you can laugh at it. You know, how you won that battle. You know, now you got a story to tell everybody. Let me tell you how the Lord got me out this situation. Because again, these, scenarios that we go through, it is not for our destruction. No, it's really for our strength. And I'm going to get into that. Let's go ahead and continue on in verse 58. It says that if he be overcome, he shall suffer as thou hast said. So if you be overtaken by the ways of the world, the bullshit that you go through, because again, we ain't even going through nothing right now, man. He says, if thou faint in the day of adversity, thy strength is weak. But read this again. It says, if thou be overcome, thou shalt suffer as thou hast said. So you're going to suffer like the world. It says, but if he get the victory, he shall receive the thing that I say. And again, a part of that victory is the victory over yourself, man. You know, being disciplined, for the lack of better words. You know, and at the end of the day, when you're going through this hell, staying focused, keeping your eye on the prize, for the lack of better words. Let's go ahead and get this real quick. Let's go back. We're going to go right here to the book of St. Matthew 20. And I'm going to start at verse 20. It says, then came to him the mother of Zebedee, children with her sons worshiping him and desiring a certain thing of him. So they was asking, they went to ask Yahushua for something, man. And the mother was coming. It says, and he said unto her, what wilt thou? She saith unto him, grant thou that these my two sons may sit, the one on thy right hand and the other one on thy left in thy kingdom. So basically, she was asking for rulership for her sons, man. You know, and her sons was down with it. They ain't say stop, mama. They wanted the rulership. You know, but let's see what Yahushua said. But Yahushua answered and said, ye know not what ye ask. So Yahushua said, you don't know what you asking for. You know, continuing on. It says, are ye able to drink of the cup that I shall drink? Right there. It says, are you able to drink of the cup that the Lord shall drink? And that cup is not no physical cup. No, that cup is the cup of suffering that he had to go through, man. And what did the things that Yahushua had to go through, man? Being despised. This Isaiah 53 and verse 3. It says he is despised and rejected of men. So Yahushua wasn't a friendly guy unless you truly knew him, and people wasn't friendly towards him. And the reason why, because he ruffled feathers, man. He told the truth, and he hurt a lot of people's feelings, man, by casting down the BS they believed in. Continuing on, though. It says, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. A man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. You could say that's depression. Because it was a depressed thing to see, you know, especially with the mind that Yahushua had. It was a depressed thing to see a king as a servant, man. Let's go ahead and continue on. It says, and we hid as it were our faces from him. He was despised and we esteemed him not. Because back in the day when Yahushua was on the scene, they really didn't trust or believe in him, man. You know, and it's the same thing today. Our people don't really trust and believe in us, man. You know, we still those same crazy guys that be on the corner and reading the Bible. But at the end of the day, they're going to see when the prophecies start coming to pass, man. And it is coming to pass. The nukes is not upon the scene for no reason. Let's go ahead and continue on right here. You know, not to get off subject. This is the book of St. Matthew 20 in verse 22 again. But Yahushua answered and said, ye know not what ye ask. Are ye able to drink the cup that I shall drink of, and be baptized with the baptism that I am baptized with? They said, we are able. Now, real quick, when you go into this word drink, right? Look into that word drink.
Strong's G 4095. Peno.
It says peno. It says to receive into the soul where it serves to refresh, strengthen. So the drink that Yahweh Shai is talking about right here, it will strengthen you. Now let's go ahead and get this in the NLT. We're gonna read this on down from the NLT. This is the book of St. Matthew 20 and verse 22. So now we know that that word drink means to refresh, to strengthen the soul. You know? Strengthen your spirit, for the lack of better words. It says, but Yahweh Shai answered by saying to them, you don't know what you are asking. Are you able to drink from the bitter cup of suffering I am about to drink? Oh, yes, they replied, we are able. So they were saying that we are able to take that suffering. And that's why they took on the banner of serving the Lord. Let's get this real quick, and we're going to jump back. This is the book of Sirach 2 and verse 1. My son, if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation. So that's what Yahweh Shai was basically telling the sons of Zebedee, man. Because at the end of the day, after you go through that temptation, after you go through that hell, you become a more fitter king, man. You know, a prince don't become a king overnight. A lot of the times, especially when you look at a lot of these medieval movies, the king will send the prince off. You know, he fighting a couple wars and stuff like that, and then he come back to rule, man. And that's what the Lord is doing to us. He sent us off into a wicked and adulterous generation so we can know the difference between righteous and wickedness. Let's continue on though. It says, set thy heart aright and constantly endure, and make not haste in the time of trouble. And that word endure goes back into strengthen, to be made hard, you know. And it says, and make not haste in the time of trouble, because you know your first out is not to get out. Think how you got yourself in that situation in the water. Yahweh Shai, you have the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, and the Lord will give you the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to get you out that situation, man. You know, because again, these scenarios is ultimately for us to give glory unto the Lord, man. You know, whether big or small. Continuing on, though. It says, cleave unto him and depart not away. So when you go into these situations, these scenarios, you don't supposed to back off on the Lord. No, you're supposed to seek him 10 times more. And depart not away, that thou mayest be increased at thy last end. Yeah, because that last end will be what? Rulership. You know? Even though you become a better man, and things like that. But the last end of us going through the time of Jacob's trouble is what? Rulership. So let's go back into this. Matthew 20 in verse 22 in the NLT. But Yahweh Shai answered by saying to them, you don't know what you are asking. Are you able to drink of the bitter cup of suffering I am about to drink? And that's what the scripture say. It will be sweet in your mouth, bitter in your belly. You know, continuing on. It says, oh, yes, they replied, we are able. Yahweh Shai told them, you will indeed drink of my bitter cup, but I have no right to say who will sit on my right hand or on my left. My Father hath prepared those places for those who he has chosen. And ultimately, the ones that Yahweh Shai have chosen to rule, for the lack of better words, will actually go through a trial of suffering. You know, whether it be the times of Jacob's trouble or the times that you're going through now. Let's go ahead and get that to back that up. We're going to end off right here. This is the book of Hebrews 12, and I'm going to jump down to verse 7. It says, if ye endure chastening, and matter of fact, let's get this in the NLT. It says, if you endure this divine discipline, that's a beautiful word, man. You know, because, we ain't going through hell. We just going through a divine discipline. That's a good way to look at it. Huh? It says, remember that the Most High is treating you as his own children. Whoever have heard of a child who is never disciplined by its father. Yes, so we are the children of Yasharada. And yes, we fell short of the glory of the Most High. You know, we even go off to this day. So the things that we go through is deserved, man. But we learn from it. Verse 8, It says, if the Most High doesn't discipline you, you, as he does all his children, it means you are illegitimate and are not really his children at all. So if you're not going through hell, man, if you're not going through trials and tribulations and ultimately getting better after those trials and tribulations, man, you can't let a week one injury mess up the playoffs, man. You know? So yeah, I can at the end of the day, we're supposed to continue to fight and endure to the end and just say, Elphick, the Lord got us, man. That's the right mindset to be in. Because yes, even though we go through small things here, it's going to be more and more things the Lord is preparing us to go through. You know, we ain't going through little minuscule things right now just to things to get easier. No, we're going to have to continue to upgrade and get ready to fight the next battle, man. You know? So yeah, I just pray this video was edifying to give our praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakah Kodash. I want to give our honors to my apostle elders, great millstone, and Shalom.